All right, hello. My name is Ky'Lend Adams, and I'm so excited for you all to join us for Unplugged, branding yourself as a 21st century artist. The panels that I have here are dynamic. Proud to say that I went to high school with them, graduated with them, and it's been amazing to see what they have achieved thus far in the 10 years. So first up, I'm going to introduce Daryl Bright. We have Justin Harrison, as well as Amber Jones. All right, we're going to get directly into it. So Daryl, what have you been up to? I think the last time I've actually been around you, well, not that last time, but we graduated in 2013. So it's been 10 years. Just in kind of telling people who are watching and people who will go back to watch this, what has been your career trajectory since graduating high school to where you are now?
Yeah, sure. So I feel like Duke set an incredible foundation for us all, giving us the tools to be able to go to college and feel like we could handle the schedule. Or, I mean, I could be speaking for myself, but I felt like because going to Duke Ellington, um, a performing arts high school, doing both classes and then doing arts and ending at 5, I was prepared for the intense curriculum of Carnegie Mellon. I went there for drama, where I was able to continue to learn further tools to feel like a true artist in perfecting my craft as an actor and as a creator. There, I was able um, to dabble in devising work and collaborating with other artists to create work from the very beginning, the development stages, writing, and then bringing it all the way to fruition. I was able to travel doing that. I went to Eastern Europe and Tanzania and was able to continue doing theater for social change there. But in school is where I met some of my long-term collaborators, particularly my artistic partner, Ariel. And there we created CNT Productions, which is a video production company that creates socially charged content, but with a bite. Right after school, I learned how to really create work for myself, not wait for other people to give me permission to create my own work. And because of school, I was also able to really tune into my other talents, and really like be able to feel confident about that. And we're now living in a world where you can be a multi-hyphenate, where you can both write, produce, and act. And creating this collective really helped me to be able to find the freedom to do that. And from there, I created a lot of my own content. And now I'm working as assistant showrunner to Brandon Jacobs Jenkins, who is a playwright and also the creator of the Octavia Butler adaptation of Kindred. We're working on season 2 right now. So I'm learning from a more, I would say, professional standpoint, in that I came from the ground up, learning how to do things myself. And now I'm in the network space. And so that's what my journey has been.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Daryl. I was taking notes of some things I want to follow up on from Socially Charged with the Bite, wanting to know more about what that is and what is that bite. But I'll follow back up on that. So Justin, what have you been up to since high school to where you are now?
I took a traditional classical musician route, going to undergraduate school for music and then going to grad school. So that's like a 6-year educational trajectory. During my time at Morgan, I was able to do like some great traveling stuff and learn different singing techniques and things of that nature. But I know I really wanted to do opera, so that has been my main classical trajectory. I went to Maryland Opera Studios. I was there for 2 years, and I did a bunch of shows, and the pandemic hit, and I was talking to my teacher about work, because my teacher is a famous opera singer, and he was out of work. And I was talking to him. I was like, if all these great people are out of work and I'm out of work, why would I continue in this field? And he told me if it wasn't for his teaching job at a university, he would have some trouble. So that pushed me to going into teaching. So currently now I teach at Northwestern High School, which is like the Duke Ellington equivalent in PG County. And I also teach pre-K 3 all the way to 8th grade general music classes. Crazy. So a part of being a teacher, I still perform and I do some choral stuff. I just recently did my solo debut at the community center, so that was a pretty big deal for me. And I'm aligned next to do an opera in February. So yeah, things have been pretty steady, but I've been balancing the performing teacher act currently.
All right, we're going to talk about that balancing act, but congrats on the Kennedy Center. Look at you. Who would have thought? Go ahead, Justin. All right, next up we have Amber Jones. Amber, tell us what you've been up to.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Your stories are so inspiring, even though I know you, we all went to high school together, but it's nice to recount 10 years have passed and so much has happened, a whole global pandemic. So yes, 10 years ago, I went right to Point Park University in Pittsburgh, and I studied acting with a musical theater minor. So I was able to really learn the craft of acting, but also taking voice classes and taking really, really intense dance classes, which helped develop the triple threat in me. And I love school. I love Pittsburgh. It was a great time. And then after that, I went back home to DC and started working professionally. I was really surprised that the work kept coming because it's hard being an actor auditioning. You just don't know when your next job is. So I was really fortunate to be able to be working professionally for 3 years in DC at some of my favorite theaters like the Kennedy Center, Arena Stage, Signature Theater, Keegan Theater, and the list goes on. And I was really networking there. And then the pandemic hit and theater was gone. And I'm like Justin, what am I going to do? Some of the most talented people from Broadway to regional theater, everybody's out of work. What am I going to do? And with a lot of prayer and just inner work, I was like, I've always wanted to move to LA. The goal has always been to be on TV and film. So they're still shooting films out there. So I want to go where the work is. And I came out here, and being from DC, going to Duke, having that chocolate city experience really protected me from Black art or really protected me and allowed me to hone in on Black art and gave me purpose. So when I came out here, I was really intentional on working on Black shows. So I came out here, I worked on Black Monday, Blackish, and now I'm currently in the trailer working on Bel Air, the Peacock show. So it's been really great. I've been doing a lot of things, networking left and right, and, not sitting in my lows or highs too much, just like, trying to enjoy the journey. And that's my 10-year spiel.
Well, thank you, Amber. I think I also saw you on Insecure one time as well, you've been making your rounds. You all talked a lot about 2020 and how the pandemic kind of shifted your career trajectory, but also in 2020, there was the racial awakening. There was this focus on race specifically for Black Americans. And because of the George Floyd murder. And I'm curious, and you all kind of talked about that, but if you all can go a little bit more in depth, what was that like for you all? I know, Justin, you talk about it when you just gave your update in your 10 years, but to walk people through the journey of work has stopped, people are now staying at home. And to Amber's point, people who worked in the entertainment business, your work completely stopped and there was no when you're going to come back. So just how was actually the process of saying, well, maybe I need to pivot? Like, how was your community? How did they, I know you talked about the teacher, but how did your other friends who were also in similar situations, like what was that like for you and them? And how did you navigate those conversations?
For a lot of us classical singers, I know we all kind of just migrated to wherever we could be safe. And I mean that in the sense of like stable, whether that's our parents' house or somewhere we can just be. After people I know got there, there was this question of, should I go into a different profession? And I know a lot of people started doing other things, whether it was cosmetic stuff or something they can do in the meantime, or feel like they can take this on the long haul. For me, I had a particular job where I could work online. So I was pretty safe. And I didn't have to scurry as much as other people did. But I knew, because that's just a part-time job, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in the long haul and make sure I'm still doing music. So that's how teaching got into the mix for me. And I've loved it outside of its politics and stuff like that. But giving back to community has been more than satisfying, I would say.
Thank you for that. Amber, I would love to hear from you. I know you talked about it as well in regards to what was that like for you, not only just, the pandemic, but also what happened with George Floyd and then the, for lack of a better term, civil unrest that followed. But then how did that, to your point of now you really want to do Black art, talk about that journey and how that kind of resonated from all the things that happened in 2020 to now this idea and being in LA and then saying, I want to do Black art. Kind of walk us through that journey.
Yeah, definitely. The George Floyd situation definitely impacted me and my friends. We went down to the Black Lives Matter Boulevard in DC and passed out water and passed out like snacks to help support the protesters. Helped the activists, the inner activists in me came out right then. Like I had always supported issues that were going on and cared about politics, but when that happened, we weren't doing anything else. So it was all you were hearing about, and it really like changed my view on what I want to do, what kind of art I want to put out. And after that, like Daryl, you got to make your own work. Me and my friends started writing. We started we would get on like FaceTime calls and like write how we're feeling or make songs about how we're feeling, really just putting our feelings into our art. And, that art will eventually come out one day. Art is forever changing and growing. So, stay tuned. But it just made me proud of being a Black person. And I really look to Issa Rae and Tyler Perry. They are unapologetically Black. There is no shame that they make art that is for Black people by Black people. And I struggled with that for a long time, feeling like I need to be diverse. Like I won't get as far as I want to get if I am only doing Black stuff. But that's a myth. There are billions of people. There's billions of content. Everybody won't like everything, and you should do the art that speaks to you. And for me, that's young people that look like me, little girls. I'm a theater teacher as well, and teaching like young theater people, little kids that are Black and brown, striving to be a part of a world that may not necessarily accept them right away. I feel privileged to be a role model for them, to say, no, you can do this. And this role may not be traditionally Black or brown, but go in there and kill it. They don't know what they want until you go in there. So I've been able to really learn from this whole situation of just being proud to be Black, and like, it's okay to make art that my family can watch, that my sister can watch, that is relatable to me.
Yeah, no, that's very important in regards to like sometimes people have to see themselves to know that it's like that opportunity exists. And speaking of that, Daryl, I know even prior to 2020, just from following you, a lot of the work that you were doing with your friends was centering Black voices, Black arts, specifically Black women, women of color. So if you could talk a little bit about that, talk a little bit about CMT Productions, but also talk about like how 2020 impacted you and your art as well.
Yeah, sure. You asked me a lot of questions at once, so I'm trying to figure out which one to tackle first. Honestly, 2020 for me was a completely different experience because my father got COVID-19 and he almost passed away. He was told that he only had 3 days to live. And he was one of the first people in the DC metropolitan area to get an experimental procedure at the time called convalescent plasma, which saved his life. So during that time, it made me understand how much mental health and prioritizing your mental health, prioritizing your family, prioritizing what actually matters, just like the value in that, because coming out of school, not only as an artist, but honestly as a human being, you're told to give so much of your life to work, and what the future holds. And a lot of the times, because you're doing that, the things that matter are, I guess everybody has a different definition of what matters, but like the joy in your life, the love in your life, another hobby, like checking up on your mom and your family and your friends consistently, those things fall to the wayside because you're so just like narrow-minded and like trying to get to that goal. At least that was the experience for me. But when that happened, I realized that there were so many other pieces of my pie that I needed to fill and that were also important. I was like, no, community is important to me. Knowing that my family and my loved ones love me is important to me. Feeling like I'm sane and I'm in my mind and that I'm connected to my faith and higher power, all of those things are important to me. And when I started actually like putting in the work within that, naturally, it does help you become a better artist. So during that time, we were getting those checks, those additional unemployment checks. I know the artists know the pandemic checks. And also because of my production company and our skills, we were also able to partner with a startup, because a lot of technical and digital startups were happening. We were able to partner with them doing virtual broadcast work because of the pandemic. So a lot of people fell off, lost jobs, and a lot of people also like went up within the technical space. So when we did that, I was able to work from home, help my dad learn how to walk again, and also took advantage of using some of that tech software to experiment creating like digital interactive shows, which was a fun time. We did the sex scene where we talked about how sexual pleasure, just the way that sex scenes are portrayed in TV and media, how they affect our real sex lives. We did a Black cosplay show where we talked about just Black people in the cosplay space. But most importantly, I realized how much like mental health, loved ones, all of that like matters just as much, if not more, than like this art or like whatever this dream is. I'm sorry, that was a long answer, but
Can I interject and just ask you guys, did you get an influx in work because of the George Floyd incident? I know I personally did. Everyone was asking for a Black singer and all this other stuff. And I mean, of course, I was taking it because I needed the money at the time. But yeah, I had like an influx of requests because of that whole incident. And I was just curious if you guys had the same experience.
I will say that I don't know if it was necessarily George Floyd specifically, but in the past, I would say 5 or so years, I have noticed more inclusivity talk. I have noticed that people are trying to fill a roster of having at least one Black person or brown person on their staff. As far as like writing rooms and like behind the camera, it has become more diverse. It still can be more diverse, but I have seen an influx of that. Not sure if it's specifically George Floyd.
yeah, I don't necessarily know. I feel like everybody's experience is different. I'm not sure if it was specific to that, because I would say that there has definitely been an influx in trying to like be inclusive, but there's also been reversals in a lot of ways. I know that like Warner's Discovery took away some very like important programs. I know that sometimes because they're trying to fill a quota, the talent itself isn't necessarily meeting that quota because they're just trying to like fill in a spot and not necessarily like, you know, vet people all the time. But yeah, it's a mixed bag.
I will also say, I mean, that's also true. Currently, right now on Broadway, I think it is the most Black shows that they've had on Broadway ever. I'm not sure if that's a fact, but I feel like I heard or read that somewhere. And I think it's just because social justice, everyone is trying to make sure they don't say, everybody wants to be politically correct. People do not want to say the wrong thing because cancel culture is real and money is being lost if you offend an entire group of people, which is good. People should be aware of what they're saying, but you know, it's a double-edged sword sometimes.
No, that's a fair point. And I think Amber, Amber, to your point, I think that was a true statement. I don't know if it's current, I think some shows have closed since then, but I think there was a time when there was this influx of shows on Broadway that were Black playwrights, and the cast was majority Black as well. And so I do think, you know, from 2020 and all the conversations that people strived and aim to make more diverse and inclusive performances, specifically in Broadway and theater, because we know that's predominantly has been white, or it's been casts of colors who perform for white audiences, and they haven't really done the marketing for Black audiences to come in, which is a kind of a similar but a different conversation. But to Justin's point, though, I think classical music, though, for a lot of people, I mean, we all went to Duke Ellington School of the Arts, and there is a classical music component. A lot of classical plays were studied, you know, classical plays a part. But a lot of times, as you talk about like musicians and people who play in classical orchestras, there's not always an influx of people who identify as Black. So I wonder, to your point, Justin, was that the reason why, you know, there's all this focus about having to be diverse, and people begin to look around and say, well, I know 5 people who may identify as Black, let me pick them. And I'm curious, how did you respond to that? What was your thought process? I mean, to your point, it was extra money, but like, how did you feel about it?
You know, they try, like, generally they do try to, I mean, it was an effort to really put, I think, Black art forward and Black musicians, classical musicians forward. But it's always like timely, like, of course you're doing it at this moment. And will you continue this going forward when it's not a trend? Was kind of a question in my mind. And to play off what's going on in Broadway, the Metropolitan Opera is like the mecca of opera in America. They just recently performed their first opera by a African-American composer. Just now, out of all this time they've been here, just now. Doing La Boheme and what all those other Aidas and all those other classical opera stuff over and over again, but we're just now getting to this. So that's why it was always in my perspective of like, wow, we're just now getting to this thing. So I was wondering to see in other industries how that was going. But yeah, I was cool with it. I said my piece about like how to move forward as an organization that's not founded by, you know, African Americans or Black people in general. And they seem to have taken it, and I've seen some continue to push forward with that, and some just kind of fall to the wayside.
So with all that being said, and all the things that can sometimes be a challenge, right? Specifically for women, and then for women who are of color, and then women who identify as Black, because they're vastly different. Like being a woman of color and being a woman that identifies as Black is different, and then being a man of color, and a Black man, right? How do you make a name? How do you brand yourself in your artistic careers, right? So you all talked a little bit about like some of the amazing things you've been able to do, but what was that process? Do you rely heavily on social media? I think, Daryl, you talked a lot about community and making sure that you have that at home. And I'm glad that you mentioned mental health as well, which is a follow-up question, just make a note of it because I want to come back to that. But as it relates to your artistic careers, like how do you go about making a name and keeping it true to who you are, and going after on auditions after auditions after auditions? Like, what is that process like? I'm gonna start with you, Amber.
Yes, social media has been extremely fun for me since 2020. I was at home, trying to figure out what to do with myself. And then TikTok came out and everybody was on TikTok. And I'm like, it's just for the Gen Z. Like, I'm not even a part of this. And then I got on there and I was hooked. And then I got on there and I started getting like positive feedback and I started getting views and numbers, and like it's my current platform with my most followers. So I'm like, obviously, whatever I'm doing it right on TikTok because the girlies over there like it. So I'm gonna keep doing it. And I've seen people monetize change their whole lives on TikTok, doing anything, eating, sleeping. So I've been figuring out ways how to not just be an actress or a singer. I have so many talents. Sometimes I show like Get Ready With Me, my makeup routine, or I do my own hair all the time. Sometimes I show hair on there. So it gives me a chance to be a diverse human being and not just an artist. And I think people are just looking for that relatability. Like, nobody wants to see somebody be perfect. And I think that's why TikTok is such a great app that's so transformative to people, because you get to see people struggling with mental health or people surprising their mom who is sick for her birthday. You get to see all different aspects of the spectrum. So social media has really helped me push myself as an artist. I've been able to collaborate with other artists and meet people through social media, just saying, hey, I liked your TikTok. Do you want to grab a coffee? I see you're in the arts. It's fun. I have a good time versus other platforms that I feel like are a bit more judgy or I don't really relate to the people on there anymore at this current state of life. And I think it's all about just finding your platform, finding where the people have found you and harnessing that, honing in on that and growing from there. I really used to be down on myself because I was trying to make my brand bigger than what I currently am. And I had to, humble myself and say, I don't need to have a YouTube, a Facebook, a Twitter, a TikTok. I don't need to be on every platform going hard every day trying to be viral. I can focus on one, the others will come, calm down. It's fun. It shouldn't feel like a drag. It shouldn't feel like I have to post content and take pictures. I naturally take pictures, just post them. I'm naturally always recording where I am, just put it together. And I was even able to become a small social media brand manager for people, for small startup companies, for churches. So I developed a skill there. So it's about, being consistent and having fun. And some people, if social media is not your thing, that's okay. I think in this day and age, you feel like if you're an artist, you have to be on social media because that's how they're finding everybody. No. Sometimes it's about networking. Sometimes it's about that time you were at a coffee shop and you met somebody and y'all were just talking about reality TV. And then you find out later they're an EP of some major show, or they know somebody. It's just about being yourself. God has already put in the stars what is for you. It's been placed in you. If it's your desire, you didn't make yourself. So it is above you. Just like rest in that. I have to keep reminding myself, no, I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm doing the right things. So social media bringing it back around, social media has helped me just ground myself in this is just fun. I just am having fun. I'm seeing other people having fun. It's a good time. I love TikTok. Shout out to TikTok.
Amber, what's your TikTok? If someone wants to follow you.
My TikTok is AmbiJ. AmbiJ. I was gonna say I'm gonna put it in the chat, but
we'll put it in the comments. We'll put it in the comments.
Well, there we go. The comments,
Got you. So what about you, Justin? How do you maintain your artistic career, balancing your full-time job and making a name for yourself in the classical arena?
Well, I would like to first shout out Ellington because, we were doing it already at such a young age. So starting off the day early with academics and then going into late evenings and rehearsals. So I want to say I was made for this in a way. So currently, I'm not on social media like that. I don't post anything about myself. And auditions have never been a big hit for me ever. My work has always come from my last gig. Someone saw me at my last gig. Someone was in rehearsal with me at my last gig. And it's always threaded me to the next place. Always. I've auditioned so many times, waitlisted, and oh, they told me, I remember one audition I did. They was like, yeah, we kind of already know who we wanted from last year. We just wanted to hear what was out there. Why are you wasting my time? Why are you wasting any of our time? And fun fact about classical musicians, classical singers, we pay an application fee. So for every single audition, there's an application fee that goes with it, from $25 to $50. So for every audition you wanted, you would have to pay an application fee, and you're not guaranteed an audition. So yeah, people were wasting people's time. But I have been at the right place at the right time where God has put me. And every time, the next gig has always been lined up because someone saw me at a gig, or I was rehearsing with someone at a gig that I was doing. So my brand has always been my work ethic and what I put out there in real time. I kind of get on myself. I'm like, Justin, if you just put something on social media, maybe, you'll get just a little bit more work if, more people saw you. But it is what it is. I'm working on myself still. So, I might post something. But yeah, everything I've gotten legitimate has been from the past gig that I've done. So that has been my brand and how I manage my career. Teaching, I teach during the day. Oh, you say something?
Well, I'd like to say, Justin, if you're looking for help with getting on social media, we can discuss that after this. Okay, please continue. Sorry.
See, I got my next work from this. See how this works, y'all? But yeah, teaching during the day is pretty, for me, it's easy and I love it. It's a long day, but I always try to pace myself to make sure I can deliver during rehearsals in the evening and stuff like that. So that's my brand.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think to your point, it kind of emphasizes the idea of networking, but also how this industry is very, very small. As huge as it may sound, it's very, very small, and everyone knows everyone and someone knows someone else. And so someone can help you get to the next part. So for Daryl, if you could just talk about how do you make a name for yourself in this industry, through all the different avenues of arts that you've kind of encountered on?
Yeah, sure. To go back to Justin's point of almost every job that I've had has come from somebody that I've worked with or some other source of community. So true. In previous years, so I was about to say back when I was younger, I'm still young, but in previous years, I used to be so hung up on what is networking? I am somebody who can be kind of shy or have social anxiety, even though I'm an extrovert. And so networking always intimidated me, especially networking events or events that felt forced. And over the years, I realized that true networking is working with the people that you already know, and then building sincere connections and relationships out of that and going from there. And then just consistently showing up, consistently doing a great job, being a kind person to everyone, whether it's the person who's technically at the bottom of the totem pole all the way to the top, making sure that you're sincere with everyone, nice to everyone, and people see that, whether they see it or not. Someone's either going to refer you for a job or remember you for one reason or another. And so the current job that I got is from working on my friend's film, and the co-producer of that film recommended me for this job. And the only reason I was on that was because one of my closest friends, we've just built a relationship over the years working together. So I think networking, like I said, it comes naturally. It's with the people that you're working with. It's the consistency within the work that you're bringing to the table. And I think most importantly, it's working on things that you're actually passionate about, because then it makes bringing your 100% and your best self easier and more effortless, because you're doing something that you actually believe in.
I think that's good advice. And I think, because I'm also someone, I hate networking. I hate small talk. I hate icebreakers. I'm like, I really don't want to do this. But I think the idea of networking with people who you already know, and it has to be authentic and genuine. And when you find those authentic and genuine connections, you have no hesitancy with networking, because you're literally just talking to friends or people who are associates who you enjoy being around at the end of the day, and finding that mutual interest. It's something that I think Duke did very well. Like, I feel like everyone liked everyone. And if you didn't like someone, you liked them from a distance, right? But something that you brought up, Daryl, that I kind of want to pose for the entire group is that there's been such a focus, rightfully so, into mental health. And Justin, you talked about how, like, at Duke, we had to be to school at 8:45. We would leave at 5 o'clock if we were lucky, right? And so this idea that we gave a lot at a very young age, right? We're 9th grade through 12th grade, being in school for sometimes 12 hours a day, and then you leave high school and it kind of ramps up in college, and then you go into adulthood and it's like fire. So how do you all maintain your mental health with all the things that are going on in the world, to the point that I think someone said on this call, when you're in the arts, you kind of do give 100% of yourself. You're giving your soul to some type of art form, and you're kind of sharing it as you do it. How do you maintain your mental health? What does mental health and wellness mean for you and look like for you? And I'll start with you, Justin. Actually, I'll start with you, Daryl. You kind of talked about it. And it wasn't one of the questions I posed on the thing I gave, the sheet I gave you all, but I think it's such a fundamental, important question. So Daryl, I know you kind of talked about it, but how do you still maintain it today in regards to making sure that your mental health and wellness is still intact as you go through the day-to-day just living in America?
Whew. I feel like it's a question that I'm that I'm answering for myself every day. It is definitely something that you're constantly working on. It's not something that you're like, all right, I'm done. That's it. It's a cyclical thing, and something that you have to continue to work on. I'm at a point in my life where the art isn't the only thing that's going on in my life. Like, my sister's about to have a baby, I'm about to get married, and then I'm starting this new stage in my career path. So there are a lot of different things going on. So it's easy to not focus on mental health. But one thing that I have, because it's still the beginning of the year, so the New Year's resolutions haven't fallen off yet. So far, what I've been doing is making sure that I meditate every morning. It is now essential for me to make sure that I center myself, I ground myself, and then to try to work out as much as I can. Because I didn't realize before, at first I used to work out because I just wanted to look good. I mean, that's a part of the career path that we chose. You gotta be fit. But now that I'm older, I realized actually that working out is also very important to my mental health too. If I don't do that, if I don't get the endorphins running, then I'm just not as happy. So meditating, mental health, taking the time to talk to my loved ones and spend time with my loved ones, and just working on me, like the things that I love aside from my job and all the other things that are going on, and just recentering with my faith keeps me as sane as I possibly can be at this moment. Because there are a lot of great things happening, but great things can also be stressful
Yeah, well, congrats on all that you have going on, and congrats on getting your engagement. So Justin, what about you? What do you do to keep yourself sane?
Um, Before I answer that question, I want to just tag along on something that affects my mental health, and I think it's the conservatory lifestyle. I'm pretty sure my colleagues have experienced that too, of this constant picking at perfection or what this is, or having I know there was a coach at my school who always, her job was to find something to say. That was her job. If she didn't have anything to say, it was like she wasn't doing her job. And so I still have that voice in my head of like, I have to find something to like nitpick and alter and change and all these other things. Um, with that being said, and then also we have this obsession of like, if I'm not doing something in art, I'm doing something wrong. Like I have to be doing something constantly, right? So going into that, learning to be okay with doing nothing. Sometimes when I have nothing to do, I have anxiety. I'm like, I forgot something, and it's gonna bite me in the butt tomorrow when I have to learn to be okay with doing nothing and relax and be okay with the nothingness. If that means I don't leave the house, I DoorDash. Whoa, whoa. Another thing I have found, and I'm sure my colleagues have seen also, is my fitness journey. I have been a serious fanatic about fitness and powerlifting. And I consider myself an emotional builder. And what that means is the weight isn't just a weight, like it's not just a heavy weight. It's something representative of my life that I want to move, that I want to change. And that just kind of drives me. Like once I do it, I'm like, I can take this into my life. I can take this attitude and push it into something else that I needed, this energy, this force into another part of my life. And that has shown um, just how strong I am physically, how strong I am emotionally to handle things and to gather things together and take care of myself. So yeah, the fitness and being okay with just chilling out, like chill out, y'all.
No, that's good, Justin. I'm gonna take that because I'm an emotional eater. So I'm gonna try to be an emotional builder. I'm gonna go with that. I like that. Amber, what do you do to keep sane?
Yes, Ky'Lend, that was funny. And Justin, thank you for that. Like, I totally agree with the conservatory mindset of just picking at yourself. And we started it at 14. So we've been in a very under the lamp platform for 8 years of our like detrimental growing years. So it definitely affects me. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, my mental health needs help. It needs help. I am trying to do what I can within my own reach, but I would like to be back in therapy. I was in therapy. I used to work with Mama Tracy, who was at Ellington, a theater teacher, left Ellington and is now working with Taraji P. Henson, and they have a foundation together, the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, and I worked there as the media engagement coordinator. So I had access to all of these culturally competent therapists who I didn't feel like I have to explain my culture to them, and just you could just talk freely. So I was regularly going to therapy, and they have a resource guide. So everyone on this call, if you have free time, like go to the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation website and you will see a list of therapists in your area. And it's also, they have a free program. You can get 5 free sessions. Anybody watching, if you feel like, you need to reach out to someone as well, that's a great resource. I right now, like, I do the little things that I can do. Tea really calms me. I was a little nervous before this, so I like to hold hot tea in my hand. It like calms me down and centers me. I talk to friends when I'm feeling stressed or when I don't know what to do. I'm still really trying to figure it out. I'm not gonna lie, I don't have all the answers. I don't know. I am literally in the thick of trying to figure it out. Set life, I am here from like 10 to 12, sometimes 14 hours a day. So I don't have any time to do anything else. When I'm not here, I am asleep. So I'm trying to figure out the balance of in between work and sleeping and eating healthy. And being an adult is hard. It's hard. I'm figuring it out. But thank you for asking, and I will we will circle back, the next panel, and I will tell you what I have done, but we are in it. So I do not know. Thank you.
Sounds good. We're gonna circle back in 10 years. It'll be our 20th year. We'll circle back. All right, we have one last and final question. The question kind of has two parts. The first one is, if you had to give advice to someone who is about to graduate high school, the Duke Ellington School of the Arts, what advice would you give them? And then the second part of that question is, you can share something you have next that folks should check out, if they should follow you on social media, anything that you have that will be kind of like your last word. All right, so anyone would like to go first? So it's like one piece of advice, something inspirational that you would share with someone that's about to graduate high school, Duke Ellington School of the Arts class of 2023. And then kind of like your last word, and you'd be like, hey, check me out on this upcoming show, follow me on social media, whatever you want to share.
I'll take it away first, if I may. So luckily, my sister actually just graduated Duke Ellington School of the Arts last year as a violin performance major at the university. Now she's at the University of Hartford studying violin music performance. Great. I know she's doing great things. So I did have the chance to look back 9 years ago, like, what would I tell myself? And my advice to her really was, you can look at what other people are doing. You can see it, but don't take it in. Your journey is your journey. It will never look like anyone else's, even if you both went to Ellington, even if you go to the same college or you start the same job on the same day. Your experience is your own, and own that. Own that. Know that nothing is happening to you, it's happening for you. Like, just being an artist, you have to be able to go with the wind, go with the water, and not take everything so personal. Like, so what? They booked the show and you didn't. That doesn't mean that you're not good at all, actually. There are so many factors on why somebody gets something or why a role is given to someone. So that was my advice to her. And just to, be consistent, as well as find other things outside of the arts that you love. If you love to cook, do that in your spare time. Find something else that's not this, because when you go home after you're like booked on a gig, you don't want to keep doing. Like, I love performing, I love acting, I love singing, but sometimes when I'm at home, I just want to watch trash reality TV. That is what I'm passionate about, and I don't want to feel bad about it. I want to order Papa John's and turn on Real Housewives, and I am elated. That's what brings me joy. So find the little pockets of joy that you can have, that no matter what, no matter how your day goes, this I know for sure will make me happy. And then I will leave you all with this. One of the quotes that I like to live by is, God created the universe. God created me. What will you create? What will I create? I was created. Everything around me is created. What will be my creations? So yeah, thank you, Ky'Lend, for having me.
Thank you, Professor Jones. All right, next up, Justin.
All right. I think what when you ask that question, I think about what would I want to tell myself leaving Ellington at the tender age of 18. And the thing that just stinks out in my mind is stop with the self-doubt. It's not serving you. It's not serving you, and it's consuming your time. You can be doing something else. You can do something in the arts with that time. You can do something outside of the arts with that time. But let go of that self-doubt. Let it go. It does not serve you. I wish if I could go back, I would tell myself that. Let go. You can follow me at Devo Justino on Instagram. And I will be posting more because Amber Jones will be on me, working with me on content.
I love to see it. All right, next up, Daryl.
There is a lot of things that I would tell myself, but I'm gonna just minimize it to a few things. don't live for other people and other people's ideas of what success is. Allow yourself to explore the world, to be curious about everything, not just the art form that you have like started since you were younger, or not like what you've necessarily been put in, or where life has kind of like floated you into. Allow yourself to have experiences, to mess up, to fail, and to experience as many facets of life as possible, so that you have a true sense of what makes you happy, what your idea of success is, what your idea of joy is, and be okay to change that whenever it happens, because maybe it'll be different next year.
That's great. I actually just made a note of that one. That was good. Daryl, Justin, and Amber, thank you so much for being a part of this panel discussion. It's great to see you all 10 years afterwards, even though I've seen you all in between. We want to thank you all for joining us for Unplugged, Branding Yourself as a 21st Century Artist. On behalf of CAAPA, the Coalition for African Americans in the Performing Arts, we want to thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Please be in tune with these 3 artists that we have here on the screen. This is not the last you'll see of them. They are just beginning. They haven't even touched the surface of all the amazing things they will do. Thank you for joining us, and until next time.
I would like to say thank you to our moderator, the panelist, executive director, and chairperson for providing such a rich and open dialogue. The panelists have truly provoked great thought and hopefully further conversation. I'd like to also offer a special thanks to all of our viewers for sharing in this moment. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.